So Rufus, which is probably the most popular tool for creating bootable USB flash drives on Windows, is getting a major update. And in this video, we're going to be looking through it together. So at the time of this recording, the changes are in the beta release, which is version 4.14, and you can get it from the official Rufus downloads page that you can see on screen now. Then once it's launched, we can go through the process of creating a bootable USB flash drive. Now, if you've ever done a clean install of Windows on your computer, I doubt this is the first time that you're seeing Rufus. But for those of you who haven't seen it before, I'm going to take you through a quick tour of how it works, and then we'll get to the actual new features at the end. So in this video, I'm going to be creating a Windows 11 bootable USB drive, because that's actually where most of the new features are that's available in this beta release. So the way this works is you need to choose a device, which is going to be the USB flash drive that you want to flash this Windows ISO to. So I've got the 16 gig flash drive selected there. Then you need to select a Windows ISO file. And to do that, you just click on select, then select a Windows 11 ISO file that's saved on your computer, and then click on open, and it'll then set that as the selected ISO file in Rufus. Then you've got some imaging options, and you've got a partition scheme and a target system. I'm not going to be going in depth on that. For the most part, you can just leave those on the defaults. And then I usually just change the volume label, which is what the USB flash drive will be called, so that I can recognize it. So I'm just going to call this Windows 11 25H2 and then click on start. Now on this screen here, which is the Windows user experience where Rufus asks you to customize the Windows installation, this is the actual screen where we get to the new features that they've implemented in this beta release. So we've got these options here, like to remove the Windows 11 hardware requirements. That's always been there, and removing requirement for an online Microsoft account, disabling data collection, and the BitLocker automatic device encryption. But they've got some new options here, and one of them is the one that I'm hovering on now, which is the quality of life enhancements, which according to Rufus, disables most of the unwanted features Microsoft is trying to force onto end users. So these are things like Copilot, OneDrive, Outlook, and Fast Startup, and some other settings too. But basically checking this box will remove some of the most annoying bloat from Windows 11. And this is a really nice improvement that they've made to the user experience that you can customize here. So I'm going to check that box so we can test it out in this video here. Then there's also another option here to silently erase the disk and then install a specific Windows version. Now, for some reason, I'm not able to select that option right here. I'm not sure why. But basically what this does is it's going to skip the screen where you need to select the partition to install Windows on, and it'll then install the Windows version that you selected here, whether it's Windows 11 Pro or Windows 11 Home or whatever edition of Windows you selected here that's available on that Windows 11 ISO file. You can choose that option if it's available to you and you want to use it, but they've also got some security related options here. So for the second last option here, you can use this option if the system you plan to install Windows on is using fully up-to-date secure boot certificates. Then for the last option, you can use this option if you want to revoke additional potentially unsafe Windows bootloaders, but with the potential of also preventing standard Windows media from booting. So these last two options I'm not going to check in this video. And I think for most people that use the new version of Rufus, they're not going to be selecting those two options. So I'm going to click on OK to continue here, and then it gives me the warning that the USB flash drive will be formatted and all of the data on it will be lost. I'm just going to click on OK, and then I'll get another warning and click on OK, and then Rufus is going to format the USB flash drive and then create a bootable Windows 11 USB flash drive with those user customizations that I had selected. Now, going through the installation process, it's going to be the standard installation process unless you had that option selected to erase the drive and install a specific Windows version. Then it's just going to be like a one-click setup, and you won't have to go through all of these screens. You won't have to select an edition like I'm doing here, and you also won't have to format your hard drive or your SSD. You won't have to do any of this. Like I said, unfortunately, that option was unavailable for me during this recording. But with that option, you would basically skip all of this, and the Windows installation process would be much more simplified and automated, and it would automatically start installing Windows 11 without you having to click through all of those initial setup screens. Now, after the initial Windows installation, I'm going to give you a tip here. I actually made the mistake of being connected to the internet while installing Windows. And that's why I got to this screen where I had to unlock my Microsoft experience, basically signing in with a Microsoft account Now, Rufus does remove the requirement for this. The most important thing is you just have to be disconnected from the internet when you install Windows. So I just disconnected from the internet and restarted the PC. And on the next boot, I got to this screen where I could create a local account, an offline account. So I'm just going to enter my username there, which is memory. For the password field, I'll just leave that blank and continue. And then it's going to load into the user account and we can see what this installation looks like. So we're loading into the desktop and we'll get to a normal stock standard Windows 11 install, but without some of the most annoying things that's in Windows 11. Like for example, Copilot, OneDrive that gets installed automatically the first time you launch into your user account, the new Outlook app. There's basically a bunch of things that it removes, but at the time of this recording, it does not remove Microsoft 365 Copilot, which is another Copilot app that Microsoft has integrated into Windows. So I guess in a future update, they will just add that package and it'll also be removed. But this is a very sensible debloat. It's just the most annoying things that's been removed. And taking a look at the Windows settings, if I navigate to the privacy and security settings here, you're going to see that these things aren't turned off by default. And by that, I mean the general privacy and security, like website tracking, like trackers that lets websites show you locally relevant info, or letting Windows improve start and search results by tracking app launches, those general privacy and security things. But the advertising ID setting is disabled. And if we also go to the diagnostics and feedback, it is only sending required data and it's not sending optional diagnostic data. So the most important telemetry has been removed from the system. So this is a good base Windows install that's going to work for most home users using Windows 11. Now, the way that they're doing all of this is with an autounattend.xml file or an unattend.xml file. If you've been following my channel or my content for any amount of time, you'd know that I'm also into the autounattend.xml files. But if we take a look at the structure of the USB flash drive that's created by Rufus, you'll see that there is no autounattend.xml file in the root of the flash drive directory here, which is how Winhance does it, and also the Schneegen's autounattend.xml generator. But the way that Rufus does it is the file is saved in the sources folder. Then you've got the $OEM folder with $, Panther, and then you get the unattend.xml file. Now the autounattend.xml and the unattend.xml does exactly the same thing. It's just two ways of doing the same thing. And if I open this file and we inspect it, we can have a look at what it actually does. It's a very small file. I think it's like 150 lines, but basically it skips the Windows 11 hardware requirements. And remember, this is for the file that I generated. So these files are going to look different depending on what gets selected when you create the USB flash drive in the Customize Your Experience window. But we got the bypass NRO registry key so that we don't have to sign in with the Microsoft account. Then we've got some other entries here where it removes OneDrive, it removes Outlook, and then it also removes Teams. And then in one of the other phases, it turns off things like Windows Copilot, fast startup, it sets the search box taskbar mode, Bing search, basically all of these annoyances like allowing news and interests or the widgets, it disables that too, doesn't install chat, and then it also hides the first run experience for Microsoft Edge, and it also sets a start layout, and then at the bottom we've got some locale settings so that it's set to the same computer that you used to create the Windows ISO file with. So if you weren't aware of how Rufus was customizing the Windows installation, this is the way that it's doing it. It's just using a simple unattend XML file to set certain registry entries and uninstall apps during the Windows installation process. I created Winhance, which is the Windows enhancement utility, and it is an app where you can enhance your Windows experience by debloating, optimizing, and customizing your system. So it gives you more control over how Windows performs. And at the time of this recording, the app's been downloaded more than 1.1 million times in its lifespan. And I just want to give a massive shout out to everyone who's been using it so far. But for those of you who are new to it, it's been featured by a lot of other well-known YouTubers and tech outlets like PC World, XDA developers, and so on. But what I want to draw your attention to is some of the features that I have here under the advanced tools, where you can use the autounattend XML generator to generate automated setup files based on your current selections in Winhance. And just to show you an example of an autounattend file that's generated with Winhance, this file I'm currently looking at is almost 2,000 lines of code, and contained in this file is all of the settings that are available in Winhance that gets written to a script file that's then executed during the installation of Windows, so you can get all of the settings in their desired states just the way you want them. So as soon as you get to the desktop, you already have your Windows installation fully set up for you the way that you want it. And you can do all of that with the autounattend.xml file generator inside of Winhance. And although this new Rufus update is great for removing the most annoying things from Windows 11, if you want to take these automated Windows installations and deployments to a whole nother level, then I highly suggest that you check out Winhance and the next video that you can see on screen now, because it's going to give you an entire walkthrough of the autounattend.xml generator feature in Winhance, so that you can get a clean Windows 11 installation exactly the way that you want it.